Everybody knows acid reflux is caused by too much acid and acid suppressants of the treatment, right? And literally swallowing acid would obviously make it worse, right? Well, maybe not, because there's a condition called low acid reflux, and that completely turns things on its head. And there are plenty of people out there that swear by apple cider vinegar as the solution, treating acid with acid. I'm a doctor who treats acid reflux. I get acid reflux myself. I've tried apple cider vinegar, and today I'm doing it from both angles. So by the end of this video, you're going to understand low acid reflux. You'll see the benefits and harms of apple cider vinegar. I'll give you some practical tips and the surprising truth that we might all be fighting the wrong enemy. The basics very quickly first. Acid reflux or gastroesophageal reflux disease is that burning feeling as stomach acid creeps up where it's not supposed to be. And all of us have had it, maybe after a big meal or a spicy curry, some alcohol, acidic foods like citrus fruits, tomatoes, or carbonated drinks. So here's the big question for me. If eating all those acidic foods can make it worse, how on earth could apple cider vinegar, which is literally acid, help? Well, to answer that, you need to know a little bit about the lesser known type of reflux called low acid reflux. It sounds strange, right? How could having less acid lead to more acid burning in the esophagus? Well, the perspective has to be different because maybe acid itself isn't the enemy, it's where the acid goes. Because here's the thing, stomach acid isn't just for making your tummy hurt. It's important. It helps break down proteins, activate digestive enzymes so you can absorb the good stuff from the food, and signals your stomach to empty at the right pace. If your acid levels are too low, you struggle to digest the food, meaning that food just sits in your stomach for hours on end, increasing the pressure. And that pressure pushes up against the lower esophageal sphincter, whose job is to prevent backflow. And once it's overwhelmed, it opens and small amounts of acid can sneak back up and cause that familiar burning. And there are several reasons that this might happen. Sometimes it's just aging, but sometimes it's autoimmune gastritis, infection with a bug like H. pylori, and sometimes it's the treatment itself. Because the typical way that we treat reflux is we give a PPI, right? And that's a medicine that turns off acid production completely, and that could potentially cause the exact thing it's trying to treat. So, the theory goes, if you add a little bit of acid to the stomach, like apple cider vinegar, that helps digestion, breaks down food quicker, reduces the pressure inside the stomach, and prevents reflux. It's starting to sound plausible, right? And this is why so many of you left comments on my previous acid reflux video telling me about apple cider vinegar, and why so many sources on the internet advise it. Now, you won't see apple cider vinegar in the medical guidelines that doctors follow, but I decided to give it a go myself, and it didn't work. And I think it might have made my reflux worse, but then again, that might have been in my head. So to get more answers, I dug a little deeper and had a look into the research. So low acid reflux does exist, but it's not as common as social media would have us believe. Some estimates suggest about 2 to 5% of reflux sufferers actually fall into this category, which to be honest was more than I thought. But the medical literature suggests tackling the underlying cause rather than just adding more acid. So the vast majority of sufferers have normal or high acid levels, and treating that with apple cider vinegar is like throwing petrol on fire. It's going to make it worse. So the large research studies tend to point away from apple cider vinegar to other types of interventions, like smaller meals, weight loss, elevating the head of the bed, and acid suppression with an antacid or a PPI as the main treatment. And just speaking for myself, those are the things that help me. But here's a big question. If all the research points away from apple cider vinegar, why are there so many people online that absolutely swear by it? And how does it work for them? There are several reasons why apple cider vinegar might be helping people. Firstly, maybe you're one of those rare people who does have low acid reflux, and apple cider vinegar does actually help a little bit. Number 2 is misdiagnosis. Maybe you don't have acid reflux at all. Maybe you have delayed gastric emptying and indigestion, and there is some evidence to say that acid can help with digestion. So maybe it's not reflux, it's more indigestion. Number 3 is the placebo effect, a powerful effect seen throughout medicine. And if you think what apple cider vinegar is, It's a clear treatment that your body feels. So it's a strong tasting, regular medicine that allows you to avoid tablets. And this type of placebo effect can be very powerful in symptom-driven conditions. Number 4, healthy living is the cause. The people who take apple cider vinegar tend to be more health conscious, they live healthier, eat better, lighter meals, and it might be those things that's helping the reflux rather than the apple cider vinegar. Echo chamber. Some treatments can go viral online because we'd all rather that natural remedy rather than the big pharmaceutical medications. And sometimes these voices are louder than the small proportion of people who actually have the condition and benefit from the treatment. So it can work, but just maybe not always in the way that we expect. I don't think there's enough evidence there to say it definitely works for reflux, but there is evidence that it can work in other areas of health. It could help digestive health, weight loss, and most interestingly to me anyway, blood sugar control in type 2 diabetes, where a few small studies have shown it can reduce post-meal glucose spikes. So if after this you do decide to take it, let me give you a couple of practical tips. First things first, let's remember apple cider vinegar is literally acid, so don't drink it. It can erode your teeth, burn your esophagus, and actually make reflux worse. So take it as a capsule, preferably ones that are with the mother. That's the cloudy stuff you see floating in raw, unfiltered apple cider vinegar. It's made with natural yeast and bacteria from the fermentation process, and the theory is it might act as a probiotic. I'll leave a link to a safe one in the description below, but my official stance on it is the evidence isn't there to recommend it. So too much acid, too little acid. Treat acid with acid. But what if the problem isn't the acid? What if we're focusing too much on acid and maybe there's a little bit more to it? Like, what about the pressure? What about the lower esophageal sphincter? Maybe there's more to it than we think of. That's why I've made this video here for the more conventional approach and a demonstration of how acid reflux happens. If you want to learn a little bit more, pop over there and give it a watch. But thank you very much for watching today, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.